Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar. So before we jump on in, I just want to ask guys to hit that like button. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course I always do greatly appreciate it. So with that being said, I made a video the other day talking to you guys about tokenization, specifically even around Hedera, XRP, and stuff like that. And a lot of people were saying, can you please go more in depth on this? And yes, of course I can. I've talked to you guys about tokenization around Hedera, multiple times. Tokenization is basically like a spotlight on the channel just because I foresee a massive market behind it. When we take a look at the NFT sector in crypto right now, we're sitting at about roughly $24.3 billion. This was at roughly $50 billion, a few months ago, but, NFTs, tokenization, I think that, a lot of people are just kind of ignoring the facts behind this market. It's not NFTs. It's not monkeys. It's none of that, right? We're talking more so about real tokenization, real use cases around NFTs. It's not just JPEGs. It's not just images. It is so much more than that. We talk about utility behind NFTs, and yes, utilities do, kind of get thrown out the window when you look at some NFT projects, but, a few do offer some sort of incentives to the holders, but for the most part, you're basically just buying art. Now, of course, I do want to talk to you guys about real tokenization and really kind of address what markets can be tokenized and where we are, really headed within that area. Now, with Hedera, yes, I know that the price action has not been the greatest. Where are we? I know that we were just recently in, so there we are, number 33. I know that the price action hasn't been the best on Hedera, but honestly, the price action throughout this entire market has not been the best. I know that back in November, we did do a nice little run up to about like 50 some cents, but it wasn't anything, too significant when you compare it to like other altcoins and things like that. A lot of people think like the circulating supply is so high, as we do see over here, the tokenomics are bad, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, very similar tokenomics to a lot of the tokens that are in the top 10, so I really don't worry about the tokenomics on Hedera at all. I know that a lot of people have been saying, a lot of, crazy things around Hedera, like, insider selling on you and things like that. I mean, hey, it is what it is. We never really heard about this stuff up until the point where, Hedera wasn't really performing the best compared to most other altcoins. Right now, we did see this come down and test a significant level, but going all the way back to like January of 2021, a lot of people were still saying, it's done, it's a finished project, it's dead, I'm not even putting my money in, and that's totally fine. I actually feel confident accumulating Hedera definitely around like the 8 cent to 10 cent zone. Anything under 10 cents to me is just screaming for me to buy because, again, I've always said I'm in this for the long-term game. Short-term, yeah, sure, I will 100% sell Hbar if we get to $3 to $6. And I still foresee those targets being, realistic. Now, let's talk about tokenization. So here are some of the reasons why the market is shifting towards tokenization. No territorial barriers, elimination of middlemen, fractional ownership. Fractionalization is huge, especially in terms of tokenization. I say this about, even real estate as well. Improved liquidity, quick and cheaper transactions, broader investor base as well. Now, what can be tokenized? It's not the idea on, what will be, just what can be tokenized. Anything can. Technically, if you're talking about tokenization, you could tokenize anything that you want to, as long as you're comfortable tokenizing it. Because even here, we do see from exotic assets like artwork, sports teams, and racehorses to traditional assets like bonds, real estate, venture capital funds, and commodities, almost every asset class can be tokenized. Yeah, I mean, anything can be tokenized. We see this happening right now within NFTs. The things that have been tokenized are absolutely insane to me, but we do see real estate, commodities, private equity shares, physical goods as well. This is like liquid assets, including artwork, wine, ownership interest in private companies, partnership shares, and more can be tokenized to offer provenance, lending, and price discovery through the blockchain's transparency. And a lot of this is we're already kind of seeing. Like, for an example, artwork, we already see that. That's like the massive driver of success right now around NFTs. We see wine. We've seen with Casper, actually, Metacask, which they are doing whiskey and things like that. So, similar, traits here, but I'm more so excited for these three up here: real estate, commodities, and private equity shares. We know real estate is a $300 trillion plus asset class globally, so that would be huge. And we are already kind of seeing real estate be tokenized. We know that with Hedera, Red Swan has been in the real estate game for a little bit of time. Don't know exactly where we are positioned in that partnership anymore because a lot of things have changed in some time, but I'm still very interested in that area. We also do see our benefits of asset tokenization: accessible, immutable, transparent, cost-effective, easy to invest as well. A lot of this, in my opinion, now here's some challenges, by the way, as well: uncertainty in regulations, uncertainty in code of conduct as well, which this will most likely change as we do see regulations ushered in. But honestly, I definitely look forward to seeing tokenization be in the spotlight as we do kind of move forward. And we already have been seeing a lot of questions come up around tokenization and also a spotlight put on the benefits around tokenization. For an example, we do see here, this is just recent, this goes back 12 days ago, how tokenization could transform Hong Kong's fixed income markets. Tokenizing capital markets could offer greater efficiency and liquidity. And that is exactly where we are really kind of looking at right now is, who's going to be the first one to step into this point where we fully adopt tokenization and we really kind of put it to work. I honestly foresee stock markets being fully tokenized as well. Now, of course, they are talking more so about regulations here. We just hear how would that work in Hong Kong's regulatory environment. There's a lot of questions that come up around this area. I mean, I foresee tokenization definitely being, the future. A lot of these assets that we are investing in on a day-to-day basis, even Hedera, I've told you guys, it's going to be a long-term, hold if you are looking at some nice higher targets. Because if you think about it like this, right, all of this, all of these things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis do not happen overnight. Regulations, I think, is the biggest thing that is holding a lot of money back from a lot of these assets. That's also why I say like XRP is also another great long-term hold, because when you look at regulations happening right now around this space, they are essentially being streamlined and ushered in. This is why I say that we're almost on the edge of mass adoption from the institutional clients, and also in regards to a lot of these major markets that will essentially be tokenized. Now, we also do see our smart contract upgrade on Hedera brings high-speed programmability to tokenization. This goes back to September 16th. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because this is actually huge when you look at the overall market. First off, we do see down here, smart contract-driven applications today are powering an ecosystem of users, capital, and applications driving trillions of dollars in economic activity. In quarter two, so 1 quarter, Ethereum settled $2.5 trillion in transactions. We know that this is a massive amount of money, because when you look at this in terms of a yearly sum, this would be $10 trillion in transactions if they kept up this volume. But I think about this and I'm like, all right, well, if Ethereum settled $2.5 trillion in transactions, how much would Hedera settle in 1 quarter at its peak in terms of adoption, when we know that it is a lot quicker, it could scale a lot faster, it's a lot cheaper? Like, to me, I think that this would be a massive amount more in terms of transactions, even yearly, from Ethereum. I mean, we've already outscaled them in terms of transactions right now, so it is very interesting to think about it like that, because we even see down here, but this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the amount of commerce that can be pushed through Solidity-based contracts if they can be made orders of magnitude faster and more scalable. And this is exactly why this upgrade in terms of the smart contract service on Hedera has been massive, because again, this opens the doors for a lot of developers to build out, really high demand, use cases that will provide major volume onto something like the Hedera network. Now, again, we look at things happening around that area, because that was September, pushed forward into February of 2022. Hedera Hashgraph announces mainnet launch of EVM-compatible smart contracts 2.0. This was the mainnet launch of that, and since then we didn't really see a huge demand around this area, simply because, like, again, at the end of the day, it's not going to be something that gets fully adopted in and fully utilized to its max potential until we do see a lot more use cases going live on Hedera, which we have been seeing a lot be talked about. I'm actually going to be jumping into that here shortly, but when we look at this, Hedera can process up to 15 million gas per second, the same as what Ethereum aims to achieve in an entire block, which again, that is pretty significant when you look at the time to reach that consensus on Ethereum compared to even Hedera. So I think that when we look at things happening around Hedera, Hedera's outpacing the competition greatly, but I don't really look at this as a competitive game. I look at it as like an efficiency game. Which one is more efficient in the standards of all right, well, if I was a developer, which one would I want to be utilizing if I could save a lot more and also scale my use cases a lot more? It would essentially be Hedera. But I still foresee this market having a large amount of capital in it for all of these, assets to fully, be utilized properly. Now, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about a few things that have been happening on Hedera. So just recently, we've seen this going back to January 10th. DSS retains leading blockchain and digital assets law firm to accelerate launch of digital asset exchange. Now, this was pretty significant because what I want to talk to you guys about is just this one area down here. So I didn't really want to bring this up too much in terms of, comparing it to, Hedera or anything like that, because this has no connection to Hedera or anything. It's just more so kind of solidifying where we are in terms of tokenization, and then I want to talk to you guys about the use cases going live on Hedera. We do see here, according to the survey from the World Economic Forum, 10% of the world's GDP will be tokenized by 2027. That's 5 years from now. And when we look at that, with an estimated market capitalization of $24 trillion. That's pretty significant. Now, I've talked to you guys about this a little bit, but I think that this momentum will most likely be pushed into even higher dollar figures. I think that we could see a lot more money actually being unlocked through tokenization, hence why I say, real estate is a $300 trillion plus market. If we can grasp a large percentage of that market in terms of tokenization for the entire crypto market, then we could see, a very large global market capitalization for crypto instead of just one asset, if you will. But we do see here new from GBBC Council report shows IO builders are using Hedera DLT to trade bonds using tokenization. This is huge. We do see here participants will be able to trade bonds using platform stablecoins and managing collateral with a wholesale CBDC powered by Hedera Hashgraph. Shout out to Parabolic Hbar for this, but we did see within this, I'm actually going to open all of this up in a new tab real quick for you guys because I talked to you guys a little bit about IO builders. I want to say that was like 3 or 4 months ago, but this is actually a very significant area to focus on because they have been doing a lot of things in terms of stablecoins and CBDCs. But we just hear, the Ventures platform, CBDC is collateral and stablecoin usage. IO builders is collaborating on a project to explore the policy and regulatory implications of innovation in financial markets driven by distributed ledger technology. In particular, this project aims to create a minimum viable product, MVP. Now we do see over here, marketplace to trade bonds on DLT using tokenized money. All industry participants will be able to trade these bonds using the platform stablecoin and managing the collateral with a wholesale central bank issued digital currency, all of it powered by the Hedera Hashgraph DLT. Now, I actually remember talking to you guys a little bit about this solution, but this is actually big when you look at things happening right now around tokenization. We're essentially ushering in tokenization in terms of, adoption, and it's simple to understand why. I mean, tokenization is unlocking massive amounts of efficiencies around a lot of these markets. But we also do see here digital asset securities, CBDCs, settlement platforms, enterprise network, blueprinting as well. Pay attention to IO builders because with Hedera, all of this will be essentially powered by Hedera. And we're actually just here integrating our DATS solution into different financial applications. We have already worked on projects of tokenization of public and private securities, funds, CO2 credits, and settlement orders. This is huge. And again, even CBDCs, tokenization of electronic money, commercial and central bank money. We are experts in all the technical, legal, and business aspects that need to be taken into consideration for building CBDCs. Combine this with MTech, and I'm telling you, Hedera to me is going to be a massive giant in this market. Everyone's focused on one key metric, and that is the price per token. And I get it. We all want to get rich quick. We all want to make as much money as possible in the quickest time possible because guess what? Time is money, and I get that. I understand that. But you got to remember that these are still investments at the end of the day, and you could still see things being, built behind the scenes. MTech with IO builders with, again, Hedera is such a huge stepping stone to me because you could see what they are actually building and what they are putting out there. We also did see here corporate debt, smart escrow payments, smart legal contracts and notarization, consortium networks as well. I'm not going to go in depth on this, but we also do see LAC chain down there. LAC chain is huge in terms of quant. I mean, we're seeing them, truly tokenize their entire economy. So that's going to be a huge stepping stone as well for quant, but also apparently Hedera as well too. But you guys could read all about this if you want. I don't want to go too in depth here, but you could see the building blocks here: assets, payments, networks, data, regulation, blockchain tooling. But this is really focused on, again, at the end of the day, tokenization. Tokenization is taken over, and we actually do see this from DLA Piper as well. Again, this is all powered by Hedera. Join our Chief Innovation Officer, Andrew Gastworth, and ServiceNow blockchain/solution engineer, Nicola Attico. I'm hoping that I'm saying these names right. I'm probably butchering them. I always butcher these names, but it's all good, for a discussion focused on real-time budget tokenization with our tokenization platform, Toko, the Hedera DLT, and ServiceNow. So, listen, this is all focused on, again, tokenization of real-world use cases. This is real-time budget tokenization. This is huge. Now, of course, this is all focused on ESGs and things like that, but also, you guys can see that this is, in collaboration with DLA Piper and also ServiceNow. Tokenization on Hedera is going to be massive. And I don't just say that because I'm biased or anything like that. No. I really don't care about anything in terms of like the idea and saying like, all right, well, Hedera is going to be, huge because I hold a bunch of it. No. I'm seeing the things actually being built behind the scenes. And this is actually a huge, stepping stone for Hedera tokenization with DLA Piper. I just wanted to zoom in there for that, for you guys to actually really see this. But we do say we present the token automation solution based on the Now platform and the Toko tokenized engine, both wired in the Hedera distributed ledger technology. The application is currently being used at DLA Piper to track SLA real-time tokenized budgets between departments, legal entities, and external vendors, and it is critical for the next generation of ESG digital assets. The MVP is the first initiative in which DLA Piper and ServiceNow, both Hedera council members, are joining forces to build a DLT-based solution that expands the power of digital workflows within and across organizations. See, this is exactly what we want to see. Okay, yes, this does involve tokenization. Tokenization is a huge part of this, but also think about it like this. You don't get to peak adoption, and you also don't get to peak value being driven behind something like Hedera and even crypto without the use cases actually being utilized properly. This is huge. Powering digital workflows and streamlining corporate entities to really have their efficiencies unlocked, that is something that we want to pay attention to. And this is happening right now on Hedera. So again, when you want to pay attention to the price action on Hedera, go ahead. Please do so. We're sitting at a $2.1 billion market cap. That is laughable to me. When we were at 50 cents, yeah, sure, it was roughly like $10 billion. But again, it's comical to say the least that when we look at the things happening right now around Hedera, it is laughable that we would be under a $1 trillion market cap. And I'm not saying that we deserve to be at a $1 trillion market cap right now. I just foresee us hitting that $1 trillion market cap in some time. And like I said, if we're talking about tokenization being worth $24 trillion by 2027, just imagine where this market will be at around that time as well. Think about where these assets will be at around that time. Think about 2030 as well. I mean, that's 8 years from now. I think in terms of the overall market, everything is completely changing. The way that, these assets are perceived and things like that are changing daily. I don't believe that we will be in a speculative market much longer. I foresee utility truly shining. That is why I do stack these, utility gems. That's why I've always said, like, Hedera to me, I don't care if it's at 10 cents, 50 cents, or even $10. It is still an incredible opportunity because the long-term game behind something like Hedera is endless in its potential. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.